Steve Keeney was born in 1943, the son of a career Marine. He was destined to go into the radio business. As a teenager, he won a radio station contest while living in Tampa, Florida.
So I got in on the air live, and the next day at school I was a hero. I mean, I heard you on the air. The next day, for some reason, I called him while he was on the air and said, hey, I picked up my record and your office is a mess, somebody needs to clean it up. He puts me on the air and says, why don't you come down and clean up my office? So I became kind of the kid who hung around the radio station.
In 1960, while attending Kubasaki High School, Steve went to work for the commercial radio station KSBK on Okinawa.
Hello, is this the Keeney Teenage Club?
Yes, it is. This is Miss Maddox.
Miss Maddox, this is Steve Keeney of Teenage Review. Do you have the Teen Club news for this week?
In 1961, Steve went to college at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. To earn extra money, he turned to his past radio experience
and auditioned for a DJ at a local commercial radio station in the town of Urbana, a 250-watt daytimer, and eventually became the program director. And the irony is I never majored in broadcasting, but I had a number of students who were majoring in broadcasting who technically worked for me.
On graduation, Steve enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. He was stationed in New Mexico.
It's funny, I could never seem to get away from radio. Came to a very simple decision. Radio was fun. I think you can make a decent living at it. It's going to be around. But we decided that we would move to Denver and I would pursue radio seriously as a career. Went to graduate school at the University of Denver. In fact, Noel Jordan was one of my professors.
While at DU, he went to work for Bill Armstrong at KOSI as a fill-in announcer. With all Steve's radio experience in Denver and Portland, he is best known for his time at KIMN.
It got into the sales side, which is where I really felt I belonged. 3 years later, became manager to my surprise, and was there for a 10-year period. Had a lot of fun and some pretty decent successes.
Show me a show you can hear at DU, Washington Park and even the zoo. Show me a show that's the best show of all, and I'll show you the best show in Denver. The best show in Denver, KIMN.
Keeney was very much aware of the history and success of KIMN Radio in Denver. When Steve became manager, he decided to find out more about how KIMN had been so dominant in the market. So he called Ken Palmer, the man responsible for making KIMN #1 for so many years, was glad to help Keeney.
I'd never met him, didn't know him, didn't work for him. I asked him, as many had, what made KIM the great radio station it was. So he looks at me through those thick glasses and says, young man, you tell me what you think. I think that the promotions that KIM did, fun promotions, events that the city talked about, I think those are wonderful. In my mind, it's the fundamentals that keep people listening to your radio station, like playing the right music. And he looked at me, he said, young man, you and I are going to get along just fine. The Kim Chicken. Now, you know, in fairness, it's a pretty wacky idea. Now the Kim Chicken is a legend, but back then, a chicken as a mascot for a radio station. I picked up the phone and I called Carl Shear, who was the president of the Nuggets, a very creative marketing guy. And I also called the general manager of the original Colorado Rockies, which was our original hockey team. We met with the manager of the Rockies, and clearly he was turned off. We almost blew off the meeting with Carl. And Carl said, you know, I really kind of like this idea. This character, he's very animated. However, we would prefer that you not make him available to the Colorado Rockies because we share McNichols Arena with them. And I said, you got a deal.
Looking at the country music market, he made the decision to put KYGO-FM on the air with the country format.
In early 1980, my parent company, Jefferson Pilot, we had quarterly reviews. Said, well, you know, Denver doesn't have an FM country station. My boss was a guy named Cully Tarleton, one of the people I really enjoyed working for. And he said, and this is a quote, I would switch it tomorrow. Within a month, change the format. No research, nothing. And that speaks to something that I always appreciated, and that was having that kind of autonomy. on to KHOW for about 7 years, and that was a terrific experience. KHOW was sold. I was on contract. I worked for Viacom, terrific people. I moved on to Portland, Oregon. Hated to leave Denver, but I transferred back to Denver from Portland to manage KOOL, The Mix, latter-day KIMN, and Jammin.
Keeney looked back at his long career in the radio business.
Radio was fun. It was hard. It was really great. And to manage great radio stations in Denver, Colorado, you can't ask for much more.
The broadcast pioneers of Colorado welcome Steve Keeney into the 2014 BPC Hall of Fame.